We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
And we're back here on Liberty Nation Radio with our guest, long-term host of this here radio show, Mr. Tim Donna. Now, earlier in the show, we were talking lessons from 2024, what the 2023 elections means for 2024. But now I'd really like to dive a little bit deeper into the governors, because this was a gubernatorial showcase, to my mind, Tim. What's your take on it?
Well, I think the real headline, strictly politically rather than issue-oriented, because as we've discussed, it was essentially a single-issue election, and that was abortion, which is not actually uncommon in off-year elections when a single issue dominates, because the president and the Congress are not on the ballot. But the person who put the most on the line and ultimately lost some of the political capital which he has collected over his 2 years as governor of Virginia is Glenn Youngkin. He invested a great deal of treasure and time and energy to, as he said, hold the House and flip the Senate in Virginia, which had long been a red state until Barack Obama won it in 2008. And it is headed ever more leftward since, until Glenn Youngkin won the gubernatorial race a couple of years ago. But he has 57% approval, according to one recent poll, in 57% approval in the Commonwealth among the voters. So he invested some of that capital in trying to win the legislature so that he could pass the 15-week abortion ban, which everybody knew was on the docket. And he failed to do it. And of course, the left will say, well, see, he's an overrated failure. He couldn't even hold the House in Virginia, not to mention win over the Senate. But I think it less than Youngkin's popularity. It shows the potency of the abortion issue, because that was clearly the thing that was on the ballot. And the only thing motivating Democrats to show up and affirm their majority in the House and try to hold the Senate, and they managed to do that. Now, in Kentucky, personally, I never thought much of the Republican candidate, Daniel Cameron. He didn't coalesce the Republican majority in Kentucky effectively. I mean, let's face it. In Kentucky, you had a Democrat governor, Doug Beshear, in a state that Donald Trump won by 29 points in 2020 and a similar amount in 2016. So for Daniel Cameron to be unable to come any closer than 4 points against a Democrat in that state, it shows two things. Number one, Daniel Cameron, well, it shows three things. It shows Daniel Cameron was a weak candidate. Number two, it shows that Doug Beshear was a strong candidate and has a future in the National Democratic Party as a moderate, non-threatening Democrat. I think you will see him rise. And the third thing is that, again, the abortion issue didn't so much accrue to Beshear's benefit as it did palpable damage to Daniel Cameron, because he couldn't articulate effectively, as no Republican really has been able to since Roe versus Wade was overturned. In Mississippi, again, to demonstrate the power of the abortion issue, the Democrat running there against the incumbent Republican, he was pro-life on top of the Republican being pro-life. So that's the only place where abortion was really not an issue at all. Republican managed to hold his seat. So
Democrat Brad Presley against Governor Tate Reeves. Oddly enough, that is actually Elvis Presley's second cousin, which I was quite surprised at. Tell him,
it's a fun side note that as he was looking at the results, Brent Bear on Fox News used one of the several Elvis Presley references by saying, Mr. Presley, for Mr. Presley, the relative of Elvis Presley running for governor of Mississippi, it's now or never.
Somebody wrote that for him. I'm absolutely positive. Yes, so it seems that the governors, that the fortunes are rising and falling. Now, there's another governor that I want to talk about, Tim, and I know that this is one of your favorite subjects, but I note that Pennsylvania Democrat Senator John Fetterman recently cast a broadside against California Governor Gavin Newsom, and essentially calling him a coward for not announcing that he's actually running for president, and that he's demonstrating cowardice by running a shadow campaign. Now, this is something that you have written about and talked about quite extensively on the pages of LibertyNation.com and here on this radio show. And to me, I think Senator Fetterman's actually hit the nail on the head here. And it's sneaky and it's cowardly to not say that he does not trust that Joe Biden can win an election. He does not trust that the party machinery will remove Joe Biden from power and then open up a position for him. So he's just trying to do a run around the end zone, I think, is the correct football terminology.
It's actually end run.
Well, don't blame me. At least I got it called football.
Tried.
Right?
You tried. It was a noble effort.
Your thoughts on this, Tim?
Okay, well, we have spent an awful lot of time since the 2022 midterms trying to comprehend how it is humanly possible that a man like John Fetterman can be elected to the United States Senate, a man who couldn't even utter really a coherent sentence in a debate with a Republican, and yet he won by 4 points. You say, how could he have won? Well, I think we just saw the actual appeal of John Fetterman, which to me actually kind of mirrors Donald Trump, which is that he's outspoken. He's willing to say things that conventional establishment Democrats won't say. He's willing to go to the Senate dressed in a hoodie and gym shorts because he doesn't care what people think, and he doesn't care what the other senators think about it, even in those in his own party. And he doesn't care what Gavin Newsom thinks, and he doesn't care what the National Party thinks. That's why he's willing to say it. He's essentially saying, I'm going to say what the cowards in the Democratic Party won't say, which is, you don't think Biden can win. Why don't you just admit it and let Newsom and Dean Phillips, the congressman from Minnesota, and anybody else who cares to run, including Kamala Harris, of course, pony up. Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah, it seems that that must be part of the appeal, because it really has been a mystery to everybody else.
Of course,
until now. Now, we're going to be back with Tim Donner very, very shortly, talking abortion and how that has dominated the ballot in the 2023 elections and how it might impact the 2024. Don't go anywhere. We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
Don't get caught up in the media madness. Join our movement for free thinking and free speech at LibertyNation.com. Publishing news and analysis 24/7 with original articles by our team of authors who tell it like it is. Join us each week for online TV shows, The Uprising Podcast, and Liberty Nation Radio. We believe in free thinking and free speech. We are LibertyNation.com.